Jim, how would it have gone if there was a front office executive with the Baltimore Orioles who, armed with numbers like spin rate and exit velocity, would have walked into Earl Weaver's office and told him, this is who's starting today, and this is how long your pitcher is going to go against that other team because these are the numbers third time through the order? How would Earl Weaver have handled something like that?
Well,
Jim?
it's funny. I mean, Earl was the kind of head of the curve with the Weaver cards. He had the stats.
Yes.
He didn't know exactly when or, how current they were. He relieved me once with Tippy Martinez, up in New York, and I had a 4-1 lead. It was late in my career. Dave Winfield had hit an infield hit. And then, I think the score was 4-1 or something like that. So Tippy comes out. He's well rested. I'm happy about that. There's 2 outs in the 9th inning, and it'd been nice to have a complete game. But it's kind of, I just was looking for wins. I'd already had enough complete games, and Earl comes out and he goes, he's 2 for 20. He said that was only 2 for 23. And I said, well, actually, he was 0 for 21, and his last 2 hits, one was a rested Tippy Martinez on a curveball down the way it over the shortstop's head to beat us, and then the other one was an upper deck home run in the 12th inning when he had pitched 5 straight days and his curveball was meandering up the home plate. And Weaver goes, what do you mean? I said, well, see, numbers don't tell you the whole story.
Mm-hmm.
And even today, we all know that's not the case. We have Sig Meidel does he's a NASA guy that worked with Mike Elias, who's now the president of baseball operations in Baltimore. And, he was kind of telling us how important runs are. And, if you do enough analytical things well, you can save, 35, 37 runs a game, whatever, or a year and whatever. So we're walking out of the stadium about 2.5 weeks ago, and I said, Sig, I went back to 2007, and I looked at runs scored per game in the major leagues, and I said they're down. So if, we're now at the 3 outcomes, which is strikeouts, walks and home runs. If home runs are that important, well, how come we're hitting more home runs, but we're scoring less runs are scored in a ballgame? Mm-hmm. And he looked at me and he smiled. He said, I'm going to have to get back to you on that one.
Right.
And he's really a nice man,
right.
But the point is, I don't know. Analytics are what they are. You give a young pitcher who has a bad windup that can't repeat it. We want you to pitch in this quadrant. If you do this, if you do that, if the Edgertronic, the Rhapsodo camera tells you stay behind your slider and, you do this and whatever. But if you can't repeat your windup, what good is the information? If spin rate, we knew about spin rate. Mm-hmm. I used to always ask Elrod Henricks, who caught my no-hitter, I said, Elrod, how am I getting these guys out? He goes, they don't see the ball. They think they can hit that high fastball. And I'd have guys like Jim Spencer, the late Jim Spencer, he was 0 for 32. I kept him from hitting 300 2 straight years. And I'd see him, I was pitching on Wednesday in Texas. I'd see him on Monday when we were shagging, and then we had infield back in those days, infield and outfield for the game. He goes, I'm not going to swing at that high fastball on Monday. Tuesday, he says, I'm laying off that high either. Of course, on Wednesday, first high fastball, he'd pop it up or fly out or whatever. So in the 12th inning, I was going for my 20th win, and Jim McKeon blows a play. Mike Hargrove was out by about a half a step and calls him safe. And instead of winning 2-1, it's 2-2. And I'm trying to, win my 20th. It's late August. And Jim Spencer comes up, and, he was a low fastball hitter. You're in a tie ball game, 2-2 in the 12th inning, and I throw him a fastball away, and he gets a little soft line drive to the left. And I looked over. I said, do you want the ball? I said, he was from Baltimore. He used to play in our basketball team. I said, you could have been doing that for the last 2 years. So we knew about where to pitch guys. We knew that, as Elrod Henry said, they don't see the ball. You have a high fastball that has currently great spin rate. Mm-hmm. My first World Series game was Sandy Koufax's last game. And I'm on deck in Dodger Stadium, and Sandy throws Andy Etchebarren 3 fastballs, and he thought about swinging at all 3 of them, and he never could get the bat going. So as I'm walking up to home plate, I said, radio balls. He said, what? I said, you could hear him, but you couldn't see him. So I walk up to home plate, and he throws, and I was a pretty good hitter, and he throws this fastball, and it starts in the lobby, and it ends up on the second floor. I said, I'm going to really have to get going. Well, he throws me the same pitch, except it's not his fastball. But, now there's a term tunneling, where if you throw the pitch out of the same, release point, they don't know the difference. Well, Roseboro catches it on the ground. And that's how I learned why Sandy Koufax was Sandy Koufax, because he had a fastball and a curveball, pretty much the two pitches he had. You could never tell the difference. One started in the lobby, ended up on the second or third floor. One started in the lobby, ended up in the lower basement. So, baseball hasn't really changed. It's just, I think they want to, quantify it and all that. But, I know pitchers are good and they're throwing with more velocity, and you could talk all day long about whether they're using substances or not. But at the end of the day, Ted Williams tapped his bat on the plate in 1969, said, boys, get a good pitch to hit, preferably a fastball, and you need to have a 6-degree upswing. So he talked about a launch angle back in 1969, and of course he was Ted Williams.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.